What's up, homies? I'm Daniel Rumbles,
And I'm S.A.G.A Emcee.
and this is the show no one asked for, Ep.7. Welcome back, everybody. How you doing, Saga?
I'm good. Okay. We're just gonna, like I said, we're gonna just fucking be off air.
Let's
We're just gonna jump
let's do it.
into
A
the
lot's been going on.
into
A
the
lot's been
space.
going on. So, first topic. What
Right.
what what are we jumping into?
We're jumping into space.
Let's go all the way up there,
Or the
all the way. We'll
or
start
the
with
cusp.
space.
The
We'll
cusp
start
of
with
space.
space then. Yeah, you know.
Um yeah, well, okay, so I'll give you my impression or my my take on it. Um cool that, this all female cast, went up into space. Um
Definitely a
looks like
cast.
fun. Right. You know.
Definitely a
Um
cast.
Yeah,
Because they
definitely
were
something
because
I
because they were acting. Uh,
well, we'll get into that first, but let me
yeah.
just say this, like it looked like a fun ride. Like it looked like something I'd be like, oh shit, like I'd be like I wasn't down to ever go to like fucking Mars or anything like that, but here, oh, yeah, on the cusp of space, I might be down, sign me up. It's probably like a down payment on a house, but you know.
Yeah. No, there's no way.
So
I
so when I saw them, I was
uh
like, okay, and so my biggest thing is, again, they can't be labeled astronauts. That is not a thing.
well, they're
You
not
know, they
astronauts. Huh?
right. They didn't do the protocol, like all of the training, all the G forces, all that stuff that puts you in this select group of people that can say, "Hey, I can go to space. I've piloted so many, was it flight simulators to get to this point, and now I can actually fly the real thing into space."
Right.
Um, cool on them. It for someone to be like, so okay, so my biggest thing is for Katy Perry to say that she allowed herself, she trusted in herself, when the only thing she should have trusted in is two things: God and the mechanics that kept that thing together. Only
Right.
two things she should have been relying on.
Right. Right.
I mean, I don't know. A daisy in space, I don't see the point.
I think it's silly too because it's like what point are you trying to make? Like you said, they're not astronauts, so you basically just put a roller coaster with a bunch of women on there and then like slap the feminism sticker on it. It's like that. I like you said, they didn't go through all these trials and tribulations to become like astronauts to actually study something and be part of a study. They just went on a ride, like you said. They weren't studying
Right.
anything. They weren't like, they weren't part of a study. I mean, I guess they were in a part of an experiment, but Jeff Bezos' experiment, which is funny, right? It's like you slap this like feminism sticker on it, but it was all really for Jeff Bezos, who is like this multi-billionaire dude. You know what I mean? So it's just
Right.
which is like more of a, Jeff Bezos is more of a symbol of like what would be a patriarchy, if anything. You know what I mean? Not that we live in a patriarchy in the United States. I'm just saying that if if
Right.
if you're like a feminist, then it's like, wouldn't you want to be also funded by like a female millionaire or billionaire? You know what I mean? I don't know. I
Right.
think just the writers being like, if the designer was a woman, then you know what I mean? Like, if the person that designed the rocket is a woman, like that's, then you go, oh dang, yeah, dude, chalk one up for them.
Right.
You know what I mean? But um, yeah, they just went on this ride basically. Again, that was funded by this
Yeah, and
multi-billionaire rich dude. So, and all they did
right.
was just hit the very top of the firmament and then come back down and land on the flat Earth that we live on.
Right. No, I mean, so I'll give it this, like, is there danger involved in flying that high? For sure. Like, I mean, but and so, but yeah, so I think it's like it's crazy to be like, oh shit, like you went that high, right? But it gets taken away, yes, when you say I'm an astronaut now. Like, You know, like I'm not when I'm driving 100 miles on the freeway, I'm not like, dude, I'm in NASCAR, baby. Like I'm the next, Dale Earnhardt. Like,
You don't?
like I'm just driving. No, I don't. I'm just
Oh, you
driving
don't?
really, really
Oh,
fast.
that's crazy. That's weird. Because I'm in NASCAR, but like, I guess you're not. That's fine. No, I'm
No, yeah.
to
Okay, we'll
me
just
it
yeah,
to me it looked fake. Like when I first saw the initial video of it, it just looked like I didn't know. I had to check it over again to see if it was the actual video because I thought the video like, and I'm not saying that I initially thought like, oh, this whole thing is fake. I mean, I thought the whole thing was kind of silly, but I didn't really have that many thoughts on it. I just thought when I saw the video, I was like, is this it looked like old school, early 2000s 3D rendering of like a PlayStation game or something. It looked fake. It looked like AI fake CGI
right,
rendered video game rendered. So I thought it was. So then I had to keep searching for it and the same video popped up and it was like, no, this is the real land launching or whatever. And I was like, dude, this it looks fake. And then all the
yeah,
other stuff started happening where it's like they opened the door from the inside, even though it would be highly pressurized, that wouldn't even be able to happen. And even if we just kind of like say it's an outlier and okay, for some reason they were able to open the door from the inside, why close it again and let Jeff Bezos open it? That doesn't even make sense. Even if we just erase the physics behind it, that just doesn't make sense socially. Like, why would you open the door already? Walk out. Like, what? So you close the door and then he opens the door. What the hell? And then you add the physics, the physical impossibility that they could have opened the door, and then all this other stuff. And then the ship looked like it was straight out of the box. Like it didn't look like it was used at all. It didn't have like burning from the atmosphere or nothing like that. And again, I don't know if they went that high or I'm not a scientist, so I don't know the exact physics
yeah,
behind it, or if it would have burned like that.
right.
But it looked brand new, dude. You know?
Yeah, but they were saying that they didn't go high enough to where like re-entry to the atmosphere would cause like damage like that. So so I can understand it not getting all like melted, like they didn't go high enough to where that would happen. But um again, to me like my biggest thing is it's cool, but it's like this is cool for who? Like this isn't cool
Yeah,
for you and me. Like we're not
yeah,
going to be the
yeah.
next people to get on. Like
No, right, right,
this is millions of dollars that you would have to I want one ticket, please. Like
right.
yeah, Katy Perry of course can afford it, you know?
Yeah. And didn't Jeff Bezos have like a failed rocket attempt? And so I feel like this is like his like no, no, we messed up, like, but now we're good. You know what I mean? Like and trying to kind of make up
Right.
for his like failed rocket attempt because he's I don't know, he's trying to maybe follow in Elon's footsteps, with SpaceX or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever the hell it is. I don't know. I have no idea because, like you said, if I had an idea what this was for, then maybe I could comment on it. But it's like I don't even know who this was for. What was this for? So we could
Right.
pat women on the back. But then I see like no one's falling for it. Like even women are not falling for this like BS. You know what I mean? Even
Right.
if they believe that it's real, like you were saying, even if they let's say they believe it's real, and I'm not saying women, I'm saying everybody. Like it's still kind of like yeah, like what we're saying. It's like what is this for though? Like I don't get it. And
Right.
and it's super typical of our reality now, especially like our social climate. They didn't really go into space like you just finished explaining. They didn't even exit the Earth's atmosphere, right? But then we're supposed to
Yeah. Well,
treat them
yeah.
as if they did. We're just supposed to pretend that they did because if you don't then you're misogynistic. It's like it's the silliest concept, and that kind of ideology, that kind of logical thought process has infected everything. No, no, we know it's not actually the thing, but just pretend they are. We know they're not actually astronauts, but just call them that, please. Like it's just
Right.
everything has you know what I mean? Like literally movies, politics, biology, like literally like everything is just like no, because definitions are white supremacy, and it's like, dude, did they go into space or not? Like, what is going on? So they didn't. So then, what the hell then? What are we even
Right.
talking about then? It's so annoying. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I mean,
it's annoying.
no, and I think they did. I don't know if they. I don't know. Again, I'm not a scientist, so I don't really know if they exited. I mean, I would imagine they exited the Earth's atmosphere because
Right.
obviously they were able to float. Um,
Yeah, but
but the thing,
you can have zero
right,
gravity under the Earth's
in a
atmosphere.
plane,
Those like high
right, right, right,
there's zero gravity planes that you can go on.
right.
No,
Right. I mean, the view looked amazing. Like
it did.
it was cool, but again, it showcased nothing. I mean, I guess it showcased that Jeff Bezos can send something into space for at least 10 minutes, right? Which is, hey, I can't do that, so that's cool. But
Or
I think,
or
yeah,
that the AI is really good.
right. Yeah, his CGI is getting better. No, but
Yeah.
I think that the part that they missed the mark on is two things, right? Don't say you're an astronaut now, and you could say, hey, I've been the highest anyone else has been other than astronauts. Say that,
Hmm.
right? And two, like, why did you get these people who have so much money? Like, find a scientist teacher, someone who's, hey, my students are going to be watching me as I, exit the Earth's atmosphere for 10 minutes, and then we can talk about it. Like, that's cool. Um, and the other thing to me, like, it's cool, but those little markers are what makes it uncool for me versus like you see David Blaine fucking flying with balloons. Like that shit is wild,
That is
like
wild. That is
that
wild.
shit is crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
because we feel the
like
true danger for that.
he's just
We
floating
feel
with
the
balloons.
but
Right.
we feel the true danger in that. So then we respect
Yeah.
it because it's hard to do. You know what I mean?
You
It's
know?
like a risk. It's a risk to do. So then we respect it as such. We're like,
Right.
oh, this is a risky thing to do. Whoa. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And not that this wasn't, but it's
Yeah. And
just kind of
then
like we're rolling our eyes.
right.
Like, what did you actually do? Did you train for this? Like, what did you do for this? You know what I mean?
Right.
And then
And
when you
then
hear Katy Perry talk about it, it's like, no, you didn't even read for this. It's like, dang, like we get maybe you didn't go through the physical like training from it, but
yeah.
this chick doesn't read books. Like even when she's trying to explain like what she read in a book, she doesn't understand how books are like she she's like, yeah, I was going to sleep and Pythagoras or some shit like that, like talking about math or something. Like she's like reading about
Yeah.
physics and string theory. Get out, dude. You were reading about string theory, but then when you were up in space, you're just floating a little flower in there. Like, get out of here, dude. Get out
Yeah.
of here. It's like, who believes this? Who believes this? Oh, I know people.
Right.
People who believe anything that they say. You know what I mean? Like, of course
Right.
they would do this now. You know what I mean? Like, what the heck? Oh no, they did it
Yeah.
back in the day with the moon landing, right?
Right.
Everyone believes that.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seemed like more of a publicity stunt. I wouldn't be surprised if she's
Right.
like dropping an album, you know.
Oh,
Um,
of course she is.
yeah, and then the whole like kissing the ground. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, like it's risky, right? But at the same time, it's like you fly a plane, you fly in a plane. The same thing. You're if that thing fails, you're dead. Like it's not like you're any more dead if you get out into space. Like you're dead. If
Yeah.
you crash, you're most likely dead. In a plane, in a little fucking capsule, you're dead if you hit the ground. So to come out and be like, oh my gosh, like I kissed the ground as if you were at Mars space station for like 2 weeks or some shit. That was a little weird to me. I was like, okay,
And you know what's
I
so
think, I
funny?
think, well,
Huh?
before you say that, I think what it is when you have so much money, like
Yeah.
you have to invest in other ways to get that adrenaline and that dopamine hit to where you're like, oh my God, this is this was out of this. I had never imagined this could be possible because everything is possible when you're a millionaire, you know?
Right. 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 Yeah. I just think it's funny that like actual astronauts that were stuck in the space station for like, I don't know how many months, like almost a year, and Elon brings them back, right? And no one talks about it. We're not watching that on TV. But then these freaking
Right.
chicks with like a flower here, like kissing the ground and like saying absurd stuff. This is like Hunger Games stuff, you know what I mean? It's a trip that they do it so blatantly, you know? Like it's just
Yeah.
like,
I
here,
don't know.
peasants, look as we travel into space and beyond. It's like beyond your comprehension.
Right.
This is, you know,
Yeah. I don't
it's
know.
absurd.
I mean, in yeah, it to say like, oh, I found like God up there, or Jesus. Like, I don't know, man. This it's wild.
It is
Speaking of
wild. Yeah.
speaking of the Pope died, right?
Oh, I know, dude. Seriously, isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
That's wild.
at 88 years old.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
long life, dude. 88.
No, I know, man.
Yeah, and he died
Yeah.
on
So
Easter, right? He said like Happy Easter to everybody, and then like died a few hours after.
dang,
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
yeah, so he had like double pneumonia or something like that, something crazy, and he still gave mass anyways, like all sick, and
Yeah,
then
but right. I heard that they said that he shouldn't have been doing any of that, but he still went out and did it. So it's kind of like, man, dude, like I get it. Like you want to be the servant to, the Lord, and you want to give, right, to your parishioners and your worshipers, right? But at some point you got to be like, man, like let somebody else do this while I recover. Like that's I would think that would have been the more logical.
well, could he have recovered? Like that's the thing. That's my question. It's like if he knew he was gonna go anyways, then why not give
Right.
one last dope sermon on Easter and then just be like, I'm out anyways, you know? But yeah, I think you're right. If the doctor was like, if you literally just rest for like 2, 3 weeks, you'll be back on your feet. And then this dude's like, nah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out right now. And then like passes away, you know? So I don't know. I
No,
think
but yeah, to your point though, that makes sense though. If he knew, and if they told him like, hey, it's not looking good or whatever, and he's just like, well, yeah, I'll go out, giving that one last sermon, which everyone's gonna remember, right?
yeah.
Um, then yeah, I can understand that too.
Yeah, and
You know,
I think he was trying to say something about like, like helping people in need, and you can't call yourself a Christian if you like if you turn or a Catholic if you turn people away that
Mhm.
are in need or whatever. And I mean, I understand that sentiment. I know he's talking about immigrants and all over the world because he did mention a lot of places all over the world, like Somalia,
Right.
Israel, Palestine. He mentioned a lot of things, and but I know he was implying stuff about the United States and immigration and stuff like that, and it's just like an odd sentiment to me. I saw Blu-ray Angel. He posted a thing where it was Black Panther talking, T'Challa, and
Yeah.
T'Challa saying something like, hey, in times of crisis we build bridges, not barriers. And like that, if you just, it sounds cool in a movie, but that's why these type of sayings, they fall, like people fall for them. It works on people that watch movies and then think that that's real. So that's why it's like they watch that, they see the hero saying something like that, and they're like, I'm going to put all my ideologies behind what he just said. It's absolutely true.
Right.
In times of crisis, we build bridges, we don't build barriers. Like, and if you just pause to think about it for like 2 seconds, just pause for like 2 seconds just to think about that, it's absolutely absurd. Makes no sense. If we had a horde outside, it was Patrick and Daniel land, right? We're the rulers of this land. We have a horde of evil demons is outside of our kingdom, right? And and then I'm like freaking out, and with all my workers and me, I'm out there building a wall, like freaking out to save all the women and children. I'm like, oh my god, yeah, build faster, guys. And then we look over to the left, and then you're over here building bridges. Like, I'd be like, what the hell are you doing? And you'd be like, in times of crisis we build bridges, not barriers, Daniel. And I'd be like, are you an idiot? Like, what are you talking? There's a horde of demons out there. This is the crisis. This is not this is not a flash flood, too much rain. There's evil demons out there. Not every crisis has the same solution, okay?
Right.
And so I
Right.
just hate those
Right.
like blanket statements where it's like come on guys, help everyone. No, we will help everyone, and there's actually a path to citizenship, and there's asylum seekers. That all is existing. We're talking about evil people getting inside of here. We have to help evil people be evil. I
Right.
don't understand. You know what I mean? Like it's not
Well,
it's
the
it makes
reason
no sense.
the reason I say we build bridges, the reason I'm saying that as you're
It's
over
cuz
here building the wall is
it's cuz you
because
have a low IQ.
I am ready.
Oh
That's
yeah, yeah,
why.
yeah, right. You're hungry for blood. Come on over,
I was
guys.
ready. Don't ask me why I have a machete in my a machete in my fucking grasp while we're podcasting. You never know, all right?
Well,
You just
I
never
mean, you
fucking
live in a
know.
really good neighborhood, so then it's like I understand, you know. But that's that's
I gotta be equipped.
that's the thing. But that's the reality, right? Is a lot of people
Right.
don't, sometimes, and you don't. It doesn't even have to be isolated to like a bad neighborhood or low income neighborhood. It's like the reality of being in danger exists everywhere. I don't understand what
Right.
being prepared for it has any, like, what are you talking about? Like, if you and me, right, like friends or people that come with friendship, or they come, sure, let's help them out, let's have a path so they can be here and
Right.
stay here and everything. We're literally like, but just saying like, it's just hilarious, like
Yeah.
saying something so blatantly simple, like, hey, bad people that commit heinous crimes, we probably should first check if that is the person that did that, and second, we
Right.
should probably not let them in here. Whoa, dude, you're anti-immigrant. And I'm like, wait, what? No, I didn't. What? I'm not addressing immigrants or even
Right.
undocumented people. I'm literally saying people that have committed heinous crimes. Like, no, don't build bridges for them. Close the bridges. Pull the bridge up, you jerks. Like, what do you mean? Like,
Right.
so I don't know. That type of stuff. Even when I saw Black Panther say it in the movie, I was like rolling my eyes, like, oh my goodness, because now all these people are gonna come in, like, see, like illegal immigration is okay. And it's like, wait, no, what? Like, that's not, you know what
He's
I mean?
also a superhero.
No, but that's my point. It's like,
Yeah.
because then you'll have like Blu-ray posting it, and I know that fool is like, you know what I mean? He's like trying to make some statement about like, no, see, just let everyone in, guys, come on. And it's like, no, I feel like that with everyone we should let in. With everyone we should
Right.
let in, come on in. Dude, that's sick. Let's come come more. I'm not even saying stop the flow. Bring the flow. The problem is, to bring the flow safely, we have to check and see who these people are. So that's
Right.
all I'm saying. It's not even like a controversial, like, oh whoa, like,
No. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it's like, dude,
You're not saying don't let anybody in. Just make
right.
sure that if they're coming in, they're not going to harm the people that are already here. Simple. You know.
Simple, dude. So simple. So
Right.
there's no even need for debate here. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that these kind of like blanket statements, like help everyone. It's like, well, no one's really against helping everyone. Like, that's not
Right.
what we're talking about. And so then
But
it, no one's hearing anybody is the problem.
right.
You know?
No, that yeah, for sure. But then I also think like the people who say like just let anybody in or just everything for everyone are also the people who aren't willing to like sacrifice anything for others anyway. Like it's easy to say you can have this, you can have that, I'll give you everything. But then when it comes down to it, people are like, oh, actually, I can't. I
Well,
don't have
have you
it,
seen
or
have you seen those videos where like fools will go around and they'll go to like the anti-illegal immigration rallies, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
people are like
I've seen those, yeah.
protesting, like stopping illegal immigration. And so then they'll go
Right,
up to them like on the mic, and they'll be like, hey, like, we actually have a list of a few undocumented or illegal aliens that need a place to
yeah,
stay. Would you be willing to house them? Oh no, you know what? I would. I just don't have any room. Oh, okay, cool. And then they go to the
right,
next person, and it's like hundreds of people that are there to say let them in. And it's always like you said, they're not willing to sacrifice their stuff. They're willing to sacrifice your stuff for this,
right,
like, to seem good. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, dude, I'm sorry. I to pretend that I'm like virtue signaling and being good, I'm not willing to sacrifice like the safety of like people, my loved ones, and etc. You know what
Right.
I mean? My family or
The,
whatever. Like,
the
no,
only
I mean,
the only problem I have with like those videos, and I think it's just all like videos now, period.
in
It's just
general,
like I feel like there are right in general, but there's like there's some that you can be like, okay, that feels real or that's genuine. Um, but then there's just so many that it's like, man, I can't even like tell sometimes. Like there's the ones that are like, okay, that's fake, right? But there's some that I'm like, I just can't even believe this now, because there's so much fake shit that it's like it's sometimes becomes hard to discern what is really genuine, especially on IG and all the social media platforms. Like everyone has a camera, everyone has something to say. I mean, this is a podcast built off something nobody asked for,
yeah, yeah. No,
but
seriously, yeah,
that's the reality, right? Like,
right, right.
someone's like, "Oh, what do you think?" or "Oh, how dare they?" or "I would." But then it's like, "Damn, do I like on either side?" It's hard to believe. You get what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
dude, someone's gonna watch our like a previous episode, the one on ghosts, and be like, "Dude, I get my news for the show no one asked for," and then like try to kick a ghost's ass, and then like end up getting killed.
Right? Yeah.
But I got my news from the show no one asked for.
Oh, I know. We gotta put a fucking disclaimer, like the
Yeah,
views and thoughts and topics said on this show are not real.
they're not
We
real.
are
They're
not
just
held
for.
accountable for anything you choose or don't choose to do.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, exactly.
You
We
know?
have to. We have to.
Yeah.
Cause see, people are gonna think that the Earth is flat now because I just was making a few jokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Dude, but
They'll be
but
like,
so but
"Oh
like
shoot."
yeah, these fools are, yeah, they're gonna come riot. Our two fans are gonna be like, burn it down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. It's
But speaking of burn it down, that's actually
mm,
a theme song for Seth Rollins, who is a WWE, wrestler. And fucking dude, WrestleMania just passed. My kids were all excited. John Cena has now broken the record that Ric Flair had. He is 17-time champion.
yeah. Isn't that crazy?
But like, because the reason I kind of bring it up too, not just because it just happened, but it's also like WWE is doing a great job of blurring that line of what's real, what's not real. They're using, you know, Twitter, slash X, um, to big up fights, or matches. They're using IG behind the stage stuff, like behind the scenes stuff. Like they're smart about like using all this stuff that people are just, already getting sucked into anyway. And now we're like, hey, where is the reality and where is the theatrics, Like where is the storyline?
So I will say this. I will say this. I think that this era of wrestling right now is at least I wouldn't say the best, but it's the
Right,
most watched since the Attitude Era.
right,
So I think it has the highest following since the Attitude Era is this
right.
current era right now. So I will say that. So they're doing something right, you know. Um, the other
Mhm.
thing though that I will say on the things that you were mentioning about like oh it seems real or whatever. I don't know. Although I give respect to John Cena for breaking the record or whatever. First off, I don't think that that makes you the GOAT. I don't think that having the most title reigns
Right,
makes you the GOAT. I don't think so. Because I didn't hold that opinion for the one who held it previous, right? Which is Ric Flair. And
right,
I do give him his respect, but Ric Flair is not like my top wrestler of all time because he had that record of most, It's a factor, but it's not like the determining factor, right? So I do not think
right.
John Cena is the goat just because of this. The other thing is that I don't think it's coming off real. At least like what I've seen in his like press conferences and stuff like that. It
Okay.
like because to me like the storylines are good. They're getting better than they have been, but um I just don't buy that John Cena's like he's the Make a Wish Foundation guy. Like I don't see that he's like like genuinely feeling this way. He's like forcing it because that's what it is. And then The Rock wasn't even at WrestleMania, which is weird because
No.
it kind of all started because of The Rock. So it's weird that
Right.
like this was like a Rock heavy storyline, and then it ended and Rock wasn't even there or like had no part in it.
Right.
And so that was super odd to me.
So
I don't know. I don't know. To me, the Cena thing seems forced. Like him being a heel is like not working out for me. I don't know. You know?
yeah, I don't know. I'm liking it because, and this is the reason why. Yes, The Rock was heavily kind of driving this vehicle, and then kind of stepped out, right? But the
Yeah.
thing about that is The Rock has said this before John Cena turned heel. He had mentioned like it's the long game. We're playing the long game. Now that could just be said to be like we don't know what the fuck is happening, and we'll just say it's the long game. That way we can catch up at some point and be like, see, we knew what we were doing. That
Mm-hmm.
could be that. But at the same time, I also think in terms of the business standpoint, Triple H is head over there, right? Of creative. The Rock is now a partnership, in this. And I think those two guys, the way they used to feud and the way they were on the mic and the money backing this with Netflix and everything, I think they know what they're doing, or at least know the direction you know I'll give it that, right? I could be wrong, but we'll never know until it comes out where like nah, they didn't know shit. um but I will also say I like the heel turn from Cena's because one, it was always like this will never be a bad guy, never, right? And then to become one, and the stuff he was saying was like, I mean, he was saying like all you guys used to boo me and say I suck for a decade. And then all of a sudden I'm going to WrestleMania and everyone's like, yay, John Cena. He might win 17. Yay. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of lame for you to just switch it up all of a sudden. And then he spoke to he's like this. He said, those who wanted me to be heel also, like, dude, like you shit talked me because I was too good. And I was one of those. I was like, man, I don't like this PG fucking era. This hey, everybody gets a trophy. And I wanted him to be bad. And so like he's like, dude, you're part of the problem. Like you weren't cool, you weren't happy when I was doing great things for the company and doing this shit, right? And then now that like there's a potential spot where I could be the bad guy, let me root for him now. And it's this like polarization. Dude, when he won the 17, people were cheering and they were shitting on Cody Rhodes, which Cody Rhodes was the one everybody wanted to root for because they didn't want the man and the Rock and Roman Reigns to go at it because that's not what they wanted. So
Right.
John Cena's talking about those fans, which is a lot of them, where it's like he said this, you're only as good as your next match, which
Yeah.
which I can understand that in wrestling because it's like it's on to the next thing.
I mean, so some of that he's saying is true. Yeah, I mean, you're only as good as your last match. Sure, that happens, and fans can be fickle. Sure, that's
Right.
fine. Also, but like that, and but what he said about like, oh, people rooting for me, not rooting for me, whatever. Like, oh, you boot, what? Like, no, I didn't like him in his PG era, but I also am not dumb. So then I go, okay, well the attitude era is gone. Who's putting the company on their shoulder? Who's putting wrestling on their shoulders? And the
Right.
person doing that was John Cena. So even though
Yeah.
even though I may go, hey, I don't like this, at the same time you still have to respect that the dude put wrestling on his back and like carried for a long time. And so
Right.
I give him his
You
respect for
should
sure,
respect
but
it.
that doesn't mean like now I have to like your style because I respect what you've done for the game. That doesn't make any sense. Like they don't have to correlate. You know what I mean? I can
With
respect
that.
what you've done for the game and
Right.
also not like your style. It's whack. And so and it's not whack. I don't hate Cena. I'm just saying it wasn't for me, right? Like we were bred from the Attitude Era. So like we didn't do good in this like the this not do good we but we weren't as diehard as we were with the Attitude Era before that, or
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I respect Cena. I'm not buying this like heel turn, and I'm not saying that he won't turn back before he retires, right? Like he might just end
Yeah,
as a heel, but but I'm not. I. It's like a work for me, and I can't unsee it. Like as I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, like yeah, like it's a work. You know, like this is a work. And like you said, the whole point of wrestling, which we all know, is like to blend the work. Like we know it's fake, but the whole thing is like it has to be a performance. It has to be entertaining,
right.
and the work part of it is like part of the art of it, right? So if I'm not buying it at all, then it's kind of like you're just going through the motion of the storyline rather than like the entertainment that I should feel from it. Does that make sense?
I get you.
Yeah,
I think what they're building is they're kind of trying to build that whole corporation again, where it's like,
yeah,
Vince McMahon is trying to, run everything the way he wants and not give people their just dues. I think The
right,
Rock is kind of filling into that, like, because he calls himself the final boss, right? So
right.
I think that with John Cena's alliance and him being like, you know what, I'm fed up of these fans, and I'm gonna go out on my own way. And then there's a couple other people who Paul Heyman is now with Seth Rollins, and they screwed over CM Punk and Roman Reigns. And so I feel like eventually Rock's gonna be with Rock, John Cena, um, Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman are gonna all be like this big kind of like, we see this corporation side and we want in kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's where the money's at. To be the
yeah,
guys who are willing to do whatever because we'll get the opportunity. I think that's the angle they're gonna pitch, which
mm,
then that means now there has to be a good guy that comes out and takes it. Like Stone Cold, you talked about Attitude Era. Stone Cold was that dude. The
yeah.
Rock was that dude at one point.
Mm.
So I'm
But
I'm I'm still excited. Like my kids are excited. I'm excited. It's not better than the Attitude Era, but I think it's the best we've had in a long time. You
I,
know,
I think so too. I would have to say that too. Who so talking about Cena winning all these championships, carrying it on his back, then you bring up The Rock, I mean, he's still wrestling and not wrestling like consistently, but he's still like
right?
the face of wrestling, creative behind it. Triple H is too, and they come from the Attitude Era that, we grew up on. So talking about all these wrestlers and all these aspects that we're talking about, who are your top 5 wrestlers of all time?
Yeah. So we could always do like from the WCW, WWE, but I think you could always break it down. I feel like that, but you're just talking about all time
All
top
time.
five.
All time.
Okay. And in no particular order, because it can be interchangeable depending on like
Oh,
if
okay.
I see a certain match, I'm like, oh, I remember that match. Oh, that was a good one.
I know
Um,
that feeling, yeah.
yeah.
I'll do it in
The
no
Rock
order
is on
too.
there. Okay.
Uh,
The Rock is on there.
okay.
Because man, The Rock, like his, coming from doing music and hip hop, like your mic presence is everything, right? So like and I'm not saying like other people didn't have the mic presence like The Rock, but for me, just the jokes, the quick punchlines, the ability to hold your own on the mic, I will say The Rock. Not only his moves were cool, his style was sick. Like The Rock, right? So The Rock's on there.
For
Um,
sure.
Mick Foley. I say Mick Foley because whether it be Cactus Jack, whether it be
Mankind.
Mankind,
Mm,
Dude Love, like he was funny,
yeah.
but no, but Mick Foley too, like that
Mr.
fool,
Sacco.
right? Yeah. So
Uh,
so I think I could break it down in terms of like the attributes. If I was to make like a creator wrestler, like my top five would probably create this embodiment, right? So like The Rock, probably the most notable for his mic presence.
hmm
Mankind for his
Nasty.
durability,
Yeah,
his
durability
durability, dude. That
is
fool,
insane.
man,
Yeah. Yeah,
going through that.
insane.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know who Mankind is or Mick Foley, like go read a book. He's a writer, and go
His
watch
cat.
his matches.
Yeah, so his Cactus Jack days in Japan were insane. insane, dude.
Yeah,
Insane. Yeah. You know, like,
yeah,
dude, just in carts of full of nails, like getting tossed off like like 1 story height, you know, and just landing
yeah.
onto barbed wire. Like, are you insane? Like, this is why we were so dumb because of Mick Foley, because like we wanted to do this stuff, and so then we go in our
Yeah.
backyards and we literally like hit each other with bats and like jump off our garages onto the floor, and we're just like, ah! Like, you know what I mean? It's the craziest. It's wild. It's
Yeah,
because of Mick Foley. You know what I mean? The legend that is Mick
dude,
Foley,
for
right?
sure.
You should.
Like,
Oh,
yeah, the
and
barbed wire matches that he had,
yeah,
like,
I mean, the
crazy.
the Hell in the Cell match with Undertaker is one of the most
Right.
iconic things I've ever seen in my life. That was wild. Where he, what was that, like 40, 50 feet, where he just gets thrown off, like
I want to
lands
say
on
it's
a
probably
chair.
30 feet. Well, maybe
No,
30, 40, maybe 40. Yeah.
I want to say it's 40
But,
feet at least
right.
40 feet.
But the crazy part is, like, they had shown what happened, and Mick Foley was like, all right, throw me, throw me. And he was like, all right, and Undertaker didn't break character, just fucking chucked him.
Yeah,
And it's like, dude, you're throwing another human being like to their death,
to their death,
hoping they don't die.
hoping they don't
Like,
die, and you're just trusting this lunatic dude that is just
right.
like, dude, just do it, and you could go
Yeah.
to jail for manslaughter, dude, and you're just like, all right.
Like,
That's why
yeah,
Undertaker's
you're
sick
trusting the
too,
guy who?
huh?
No, I'm saying you're trusting the guy who had barbed wire matches
Yeah,
and set himself on fire, and
on
you'd be like, hey,
fire.
yeah, just
Just
toss me.
is wild, dude. This
Yeah,
dude. McFoley needs to be on everyone's list for sure.
for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
and Terry Funk is another one that could be on other people's list. He's not on mine because I
Mm.
think McFoley to me is better, but um, they've had their matches in Japan and all that stuff. So Mick Foley,
Sabu too.
and
If
then
you're
I would
gonna,
have
if
well
if
that's
you
why.
respect,
So
yeah.
no, I was gonna put Sabu is on my list.
Mm.
Um, I think he's interchangeable.
He is.
Um,
Yeah. Well,
because I have McFoley on the list,
yeah. So
dude.
if we are making a top 10, Sabu's on it for sure. But if we're
Right,
doing top 5, McFoley takes a spot over Sabu.
right. But dude,
Yeah.
Sabu just wrestled another match, and I think he's like
60.
60
Yeah,
something.
yeah. And I saw he just like jumped through barbed wire into like on top of a
Yeah,
dude into the, it was why I was like, what? I didn't know it was real. I had to like keep searching for the other videos
right.
again. And I was like, oh, no, this
Yeah,
just happened. Because I was like, when did this happen? And it
yeah,
just happened. Sabu's crazy too. Sabu's
for
nuts, dude.
sure.
And
Not
he's
sane at all.
no, not sane at all. Like these dudes that are just not sane. I mean, wrestlers in general, but like, dude, some of
Right.
these fools, like, to be the craziest of the crazies is insane. Like, that's what Mick Foley, Sabu, like these ECW guys and these Japanese wrestlers, the luchadors too, like these foreign wrestlers
Yeah,
are insane. You know what I mean?
right.
They're wild. You know,
So that's, let's see, Mick Foley, The Rock, Sting. Bless you.
Sting's up there for you.
Yes, dude.
Mm.
You don't like Sting?
I like Sting. I like Sting.
Woo!
He's not, yeah, but he's not in my top. He's not even in my top 10, dude. He's not even in my top 10. Yeah, he's not even in my top 10. I
What?
don't think he's in my top 20,
Dude,
top 15, but he's not in my top 10. He's not. I can't. I like
Sting.
Sting. I like Sting. I like Sting, but I just like him. He was never like my favorite. I was never like, like that just wasn't he wasn't my go-to guy. There's just so many, like when I start naming mine, you'll see why Sting is not on there, you
Well,
know?
here's the thing. So Sting is
Mm.
on mine for not, and not early Sting. I'm talking about the Crow fucking
Yeah,
Sting.
WCW
Yeah, but
Sting.
he had other makeup before, and he didn't have like the jacket and all that
Right.
in his earlier career. And then it turned,
No.
and then he became fucking the Crow Sting. And I was like,
Right.
this was, dude, the face paint, like fool was like
Yeah, it
a
was sick.
demon. I mean, yeah, Undertaker did fucking, look, he was the Undertaker,
And the Crow
but Sting, yeah, he had the
and
black
Kiss.
bat, the fucking trench coat.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that fool was the sharpshooter, the sharpshooter
Yeah.
too.
If we're gonna go move for move, the sharpshooter goes to the Bret. I Bret's way
Fuck
better
that
than
guy.
Sting overall. Like
No,
shits on Sting, dude. Bret the Hitman
no,
Hart. You think there's a conversation that we can have where Sting is better than Bret the Hitman Hart of the Hart family?
yeah,
That's what you think. That's what you're saying. You're saying that right now with confidence. You're like, fine. You're
yeah.
you're on camera and you're fine saying this. You're fine saying Sting is better than Bret the Hitman Hart. That's what you're saying. That's crazy to me. That's wild
To
to me.
me, so
I
so
thought
here's
you
the
just
thing. So
hadn't
check
thought
this
of
out.
Bret. I thought you just hadn't thought of Bret. But now that you know Bret and you're still saying Sting, it's like, whoa, dude, what's wrong with you, bro?
Sting, dude. Okay, so check this out. There's a lot of
Okay,
factors that go into these things.
okay,
Like the promos they cut, the storylines they were involved in,
a
right?
thousand
Like,
percent.
again, I'm not taking anything away from Bret the Hitman Hart. Okay,
No, how
Bret the
could you?
Hitman Hart is a G.
Yeah,
Is a
he's a
G.
G. Yeah.
But he just wasn't my guy.
See, and that's how
That's
I
just
feel
not
about Sting. And Bret the Hitman Hart was my guy. Was my guy. That fool
okay.
is freaking sick. I love Bret. So wait, so I don't put like I said, I was being honest, and like Sting might be in my top 15. Where would Bret be on your list? Would he be in your top 10 or top 15 or top 20 or like lower? You know what I mean? Like where would you put him?
I think he's in my top 15.
Okay, okay, cool. Because that's where I put
Yeah. Like
Sting.
he's
I put Sting in top 15.
okay. Well,
But
too
Bret's in
bad.
my top 5. Bret's in my
Well,
top
hold on. I'm
5.
not finished.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
finished.
Go, 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 go. Yeah.
So we got The Rock, Sting,
Foley.
Mankind, or
Yeah.
Mick Foley, the faces of
Yeah.
Foley.
Right.
And then I'm gonna put see like Sabu is interchangeable, so we'll put him on the list for right now.
Okay, okay.
Um, see, and this one I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this probably.
You're already gonna get a lot of shit for saying Bret is in your top 15. That's crazy wild. But okay, yeah, cool.
And maybe I don't even want to say it. Maybe we won't say that one. Hold on.
You're
Maybe wait,
wild.
hold on.
Yeah.
Let me think. Let me look around. Let me look around who there's a couple others there. So okay, so I'll put him on there and whatever. I don't give a fuck.
Who?
I put Goldberg on there.
Bro, dude. You put Goldberg on there? Are you insane? What's wrong with you, dude? Like you're fucking with me. You're fucking with me. You're fucking with me.
So
You're fucking with
I like Goldberg's raw power.
me. That's
Pause.
it. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. His raw power. Okay.
So again, so to me, okay, so maybe I put him on there just because that spear to me is like arguably the best spear in
Okay.
the
All right.
game.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Okay. We
Eh,
have
eh,
to give you that.
right? And I put him on there because I feel like when you wrestled him, and again, this was because a lot of other wrestlers said that like he didn't pull punches, you
Yeah,
know?
that's a
Like
horrible wrestler. That's a bad wrestler. That's like, he was like known for
but
being a shitty wrestler.
but you knew what you were getting was like genuine. Like, damn, that fool's fucking you're getting speared through the fucking wall. Like
Yeah,
so
I
so
don't
so
know.
maybe not in my top 10. I mean top 5.
Yeah,
But that
no,
spear, man.
no. The spear's
That
the best in
spear.
the game. I'll give him
Dude,
the
and then the
spear.
and then the jackhammer?
Oh, the jackhammer's sick too. But the spear is really what put Goldberg on the map. But even if we agree that his spear is the best in the game, it's still not like okay. Like so that's top 5. Having the best spear in the game is like Straight to the top. Straight to the top. Have you seen his spear? Have you seen his spear there? Straight to the top. Champion. That would be us arguing. That would be you if we were like, if we owned a wrestling company. You'd be like, the spear, though. The spear.
Dude, the spear is fucking his strength alone, man.
Yeah.
Goldberg.
Yeah, he's strong, and and you know what? I hated seeing him, so that was cool. Like every time I saw Goldberg, I hated seeing him, but I liked it because he was a worthy opponent to hate. Does that make sense? So like when he came out,
Right,
I'm like, oh, dude, Goldberg. But then you know the match is gonna be like intense, intense. So even if he's fighting your guy, you're
right.
like, okay, you don't want him to be fighting, I don't know, Doink the Clown or the Mean Street Posse. Like it's your guy versus Goldberg. You know you're about to get
Right.
like a good match. So yeah, that I will
Yeah.
give him that, but that doesn't. I don't know. For me, it doesn't even put him in the top 10. He's Goldberg's not in my top 10. He might be in my top 20.
Yeah.
Maybe if
So
that.
so
Maybe
the crazy part of my maybe I really don't have like a top. 'Cause here's my thing. So
okay.
there's other people that I know are on their top list, right? Like Stone Cold,
Yeah.
fucking Triple H.
Who? Triple H? Oh, Triple
But the
H is in
thing,
my top 15. Yeah.
okay, but for me, like those guys, I didn't root for them. Like Stone Cold, I didn't because I was a rock guy, right? So Stone Cold
Wait.
and The Rock, dude, I'm
Wait,
always
wait, wait,
picking The
wait, wait.
Rock.
What did you just say? You said you didn't root for who?
For Stone Cold, if he's going
Oh
against like the
my
people like The
goodness,
Rock.
bro, dude,
No,
what are you? What?
listen, Lisa, listen. No, Stone Cold going against Vince and the system, awesome for sure. Voting for him, you know. But when he's going against The Rock, I'm picking The Rock, dude,
Okay, all right.
every
I mean,
time.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah, yes. Okay, like I can see that, but not rooting for Stone Cold Steve Austin. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness, dude. You
and I'm talking about him going against somebody that I'm like a fan of. Like if he was going against Mick Foley, man, I want Mick Foley, dude.
No,
I
dude.
want I
I give
want
it
Mick
Stone
I want
Cold.
Cactus
No,
Jack,
dude.
dude.
Stone Cold.
That,
Stone Cold for
that's my guy.
sure. Nah. Austin 316 says, "I'm gonna whoop your ass, dude." Like this is
That's
he's
true.
the stunner is one of the sickest moves also ever made ever of all time. And
Right.
dude, he tore
So
down a
so so how about this?
building. Yeah.
How about this? So put it this way: if we were creating our own wrestling league, okay,
Yeah.
and you can handpick your 10 people, right?
Okay.
These are the people I'm picking. All
Okay.
right.
Okay. Okay.
So we'll do it this way, okay?
Okay. Okay. Cool,
So
cool.
and so that's the thing. So like when I make this list is easier for me to make because I like them as heels, but I'm not like rooting for them to win matches, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, some of my
Okay.
guys are guys I don't, didn't root for, but
Right.
they're just good wrestlers,
So so we have The Rock,
Yeah,
we have Mick Foley,
yeah,
we have Goldberg,
yeah. That's
we have
wild.
Sting,
Yeah.
we have Sting, Triple
Okay.
H. I would go with The Big Show.
Oh, oh, okay. Whoa.
You don't like The Big Show?
I love the Big Show, but he's just not in my top 10.
Again, this is just me if I was starting a company. Stone
Okay, okay,
Cold.
okay.
Um, damn, I'm running out of space. See, like
Yeah.
I'd put the Dudley Boys. So that's two of them.
Oh, dude. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the Dudley Boys would be in my top 5, but then I can't because they're like a unit.
Yeah, but that's why I feel like that's a different conversation. Like top
Right.
tag teams of all time.
So
Like,
look, I have one more space, and I
yeah.
would put, man. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Oof. I think if I'm starting this promotion, it would have to be either Shawn Michaels
Oh, good choice. Yeah.
or The Undertaker.
Both amazing choices, both in my top
So
10. I'd pick both.
it,
Yeah.
it's one of those. But like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's why the more I think about it, it's just hard to there's a lot of storylines and a lot of characters that I like that
You
to
just
lump it
can't
to
commit,
five,
bro. That's why you
to lump
can't
it
be
to
the
five. I
boss.
can say The Rock and I can say Mick Foley for
Yeah.
certain, and Sting.
But
Those three for certain.
yeah, but see, I would be the head then. I would be the head of our league. I would be the president because you can't because I can commit to actual greatness. Where you're
Well,
like,
no,
I don't
I
know.
just gave you 10 right now.
Yeah, but you're picking based on like some weird, I don't know, some weird metric that you're using. Like,
You wouldn't see my wrestling promotion if I had those 10 dudes there?
no, I would. I'd watch for sure. But let me give you let me give you my top 5, and
Okay.
then I'll give you like my top 10 that like kind of how what you did, you know?
Right.
And
Because
so
this is the Rushmore. The Rushmore is what people say, right? The
right,
wrestling Rushmore.
right, but we're doing a top 5, right? Cuz a Rushmore would
Right.
be 4. And so we'll do
Yeah,
top 5. And so my top wrestler of all time, my favorite, and this is nostalgia bias 100%,
okay.
is, and actually kind of hypocritical. You're gonna clown on me right now for this, just literally because of all the shit I just gave you about Goldberg. But my top favorite wrestler of all time is the Ultimate Warrior. Crazy that you did not put him in your top 10 at least, but he's my favorite top. He's ah, dude, the gorilla press slam, like get the heck out. His
That
matches with Hulk Hogan and Macho Man are still talked about to this day, still to this day.
Macho
And
Man's
so
another one, but
yeah, Macho Man, he's in my top 15 for sure, top 20, you know.
yeah.
But so the
Ultimate
reason I put
Warrior
Ultimate Warrior up there is because when I first started getting into wrestling, I was like 4, 5, you know, like a baby. I was a kid, and one of the like seared into my brain. I'm admitting that this is nostalgia bias, okay?
for sure.
But seared into my brain is when Ultimate Warrior defeated Hulk Hogan to become the champion of the world. And to me, that was not only it was an epic match, but just such an epic moment. And again, I'm only like 5 years old. I think it happened like 1990.
Right.
And so the like I'm seeing that, and it that made me fall in love with wrestling. Like that made me fall in love with like, oh my, what the heck am I watching? And that like the love of wrestling kind of like correlated with just Ultimate Warrior, because that's like what sparked that, right? And so then forever I was
Right.
just like an Ultimate Warrior fan. And then also, if you like comic books, Ultimate Warrior just makes sense because of the way that he talks, his persona, his like character, like the way that he
Yeah.
presented himself, his like presence was very superhero, was very like comic booky, you know what I mean? And so that's why he's my favorite, not because of his in-ring skills, because he
Yeah.
actually like Goldberg is notoriously known as probably one of the worst, if not the worst wrestlers of his own era when it comes to wrestling skills and making it a work and whatever. It was hard. Like they had to really drag out like effort from him in his matches. And then his matches, sometimes when he didn't want them to go long, he would just like end them. And so then they were super short, you know, a lot of his matches, you know. Some
Yeah.
would say that's a negative. For me, as a kid, I thought that was sick. I was like, yeah, dude, these matches
Mhm.
don't last a minute. They don't. And then
Like,
yeah,
come
and he
on.
goes crazy. And then the thing is, he goes crazy, and no one can stop him. No one could stop him. Remember when he dissed that kid or something? He like dissed the kid, and then McMahon like tried to make him do these videos of apology. And it's funny, it's funnier, it's better almost that he like couldn't do it. That they should have just done that. They should have just
Yeah.
like showed all the video of him not being able to do it. Would have been hilarious, because he's like, what am I even
Right.
saying sorry for? Like he like didn't want to do it, but it's because he like dissed this kid, and he's like, why am I saying sorry? I didn't even say anything. Gosh. It's so funny, dude. But that's like my kind of guy. Like that's hilarious to me too. Like that is funny to me. And so like I don't know. Ultimate Warrior is like
Man.
wrestler. Like to me is like the wrestler prototype. You know what I mean? So that's why Ultimate Warrior number one. Like not number 5, number one. Number one, Ultimate Warrior, bro. Ultimate Warrior. And he
Yeah.
beat Hogan, dude. He beat Hogan at the peak, at his peak. At his peak, he beat Hogan, dude. Beat
Yeah.
Hogan. Put respect on
I
his
was
name.
not a fan of Hogan.
Yeah, neither was I. I actually wasn't.
Yeah.
I actually wasn't. I liked his. I liked him. I liked him. I was not
Mhm.
like a fan of Hogan, you know.
Yeah.
But I
I,
like.
I was a fan of Hogan when he was NWO. Yeah.
That's when you
NWO
liked it.
Hogan.
But that makes sense because you're a Sting guy, so of course you're an NWO
Yeah.
guy. Of course you are. Of course you are. I should have even like. Why did I even? For me, NWO was sick because of Razor Ramon. So you know, like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey
man.
yo.
The razor, hey yo, the razor's edge,
Yeah.
like that. That's a sick move, dude.
The crazy thing with him was when I found out he wasn't even like Hispanic.
Yeah, I know.
Blew my fucking
I
mind,
know.
dude.
I know. Isn't that hilarious? Because I thought that too. I was like, wait, what the heck? Like, how this is he's not? What? That's weird, you know? And so it was
Hey
insane.
yo,
Because
Chico. Like
yeah,
I was like, wait, what?
no,
This was fucking Hispanic?
no, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, it's such a good
Yeah.
job. No, so for me, it's
Oh yeah.
Ultimate Warrior number one, The Rock.
Okay.
He's in the, and then now it's like no particular order, but The Rock is up there, probably number two. Bret the Hitman Hart, and then I got Stone Cold Steve Austin and Mick Foley. Those are my top five, and those are like not interchangeable for me. Those are like my
Right.
top five. I can for sure
Yeah.
say those are definitive. My within that they kind of change, you know, but for sure my top five are those guys, and then goes into the other ones that we're talking about, right? So Sabu is up there for me. Sabu is
Right.
sick because I just love like the hardcore type fighters. Like those are my favorite ones, and Sabu
Right.
is obviously the lord of that. So Sabu for sure.
Hmm.
Undertaker, like how do you not choose the Undertaker? The Undertaker's longevity of like being the Undertaker for so long, just nobody even compares really. Actually,
Yeah.
nobody even really
But
compares. So Undertaker's up there for me. Um,
yeah.
then the next one. See, so now these last like three, this is where I kind of like start like, ah man, I don't know, because I'll put oh man, I want to say Shawn Michaels. I want to say Shawn Michaels because like that's sick.
Yeah.
He's in my top 10. Kurt Angle, I like Kurt Angle a lot, but that's just a
Mm,
personal favorite because
mm,
like because
yeah.
I like Kurt Angle, but I wouldn't say he's like the best of all time. But like I personally like Kurt Angle because of his song. He was an American wrestler. He won you, not just me. He won you an Olympic gold medal. So you should
Right.
thank him for that.
That's cool.
And he was sick. He was undefeated for a long time. Remember that was his like thing when he first came in, that he was like,
Yeah.
because he was like a gold medalist, he was beating everyone, you know.
Right.
And so I like
So
Kurt
was
Angle a lot.
Goldberg beating everybody too.
Huh? Who?
Goldberg, he beat everybody too.
Yeah, but I mean that fool sucks at wrestling. His matches suck. He was, you know who I like? I like Gilbert. I like Gilbert.
Gilbert. I remember Gilbert.
Yeah, Gilbert. He's on
Yeah.
my top worst, probably one of my top worst. You know?
So I mean, okay, so then who so I guess I could put it in my top five. See, and that's the thing. Like I again I didn't root for them, but I really like them as bad guys. Um, would be Triple H for sure. Yeah, he's in
Oh
there.
yeah, he has. To,
Um,
he has to be up there, right?
and the crazy part is like you can tell kind of now that like Seth Rollins uses the pedigree,
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Owens uses the stunner,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
no one really uses the rock bottom. Becky
No,
Lynch kind of does like a kind of like a
a
rock bottom,
variation.
but
Yeah,
yeah, um, but it's like it's hard to make new moves up. Like the
yeah,
dudes from the Attitude Era and the years before that, and like right after that, took up all the moves.
yeah. They did. They did.
Like there's really not that many new ones left.
Yeah, but I don't think the moves are what made it. I mean, look at the people's elbow. What? Like that? You know what I mean? Like we like MMA, so like we know that that's not a damaging knockout final move, but it is. And
Dude,
again, it's
the
because
elbow. to
No,
the
no,
heart.
what I'm saying is that for us, that's the whole point, is where it's such an explosive move because we're sold
Right,
on the character and the charisma of the move itself. If he was just to
right.
stand there and then like drop and then do a drop elbow, like we wouldn't, like that's not the same, that we would be like what is he doing? But it's because of the whole freaking thing. He takes off
Not true.
his shoulder. He's like huh, huh, and then he runs to the side, and then
Yeah,
freaking does his move. That's sick, and
yeah.
that's what
Like the
makes us go,
theatrics.
oh, you know.
Right. But the thing is, like you're talking about, like an elbow drop wouldn't be like the same. Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner, just fucking, and then drop the elbow.
Bro, you're gonna bring up Scott Steiner as like some sort of comparison of something? Like that fool sucked at wrestling. Like, what are you, what are you talking about?
I'm just saying,
What are
people went crazy for that.
you, huh?
I'm
Scott
saying
Steiner?
people went crazy for the elbow.
No, for Scott Steiner, no one went crazy for Scott Steiner.
Holler if you hear me.
No, it's so the fool like sucked at wrestling too. His like matches sucked ass. It's like, but
He did invent the Frankensteiner though. That's a good
yeah,
move.
yeah. No, and yeah, he did. And again, but that's my point. It's about presence, right? Especially in the Attitude Era. It was all about presence. And like even before the Attitude Era, right? Ultimate
Yeah.
Warrior. He wasn't a good wrestler. I can say that. I'm like his number one fan, but like he wasn't a good wrestler, but it wasn't about that. It was about the character that they can like portray. They're literally like living superheroes. And so
My,
yeah, dude, that's what it is. That's what I'm saying. It's like The Rock. The Rock is up there for me. The Rock is like my second
for sure.
favorite. And it's because again, like you said earlier, his charisma, his stuff on the mic, but like he did some stuff that was unique to him. And if you pause to think about it, it's kind of weird, but we loved it. Like his over exaggerating roll where he rolls and then like throws his whole body up, like almost like vertically upside down, like with even with the slightest like shoulder bump, he'll be like,
But
ugh, and then he rolls and like keeps rolling. But that's dope. That's
no,
dope. I'm not
no,
talking trash about it. I'm
he only
saying it's
did that
dope.
for the stunner. He only did that when he got hit with the stunner. He oversold the stunner because of that much respect for Stone Cold.
So I was about to
That's
say,
why.
so that means you need to put respect on it. If The Rock is putting respect on Stone Cold and the Stone Cold Stunner, then you need to put some respect on
Dude,
this
I
on
would stunner
Austin
people.
316.
I would stunner people in high school all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
All the time. I just
all
hold
the
on to their
time.
neck
Yeah.
and pull their body weight down. Like my body weight just fucking carry
we
them.
we did it every time. It's the move. Who
Yeah.
didn't drink
But the
beer
thing
like
is, so
Stone
like
Cold?
what
You know,
right, yeah. I mean yeah.
come on.
Dude, the crazy part is, speaking of Stone Cold, at
Mhm.
WrestleMania, he was going around the ring in a ATV
Well, okay.
or a quad, right? And he fucking hit one of the railings, like
Oh,
one of the barricades,
oh no.
and it shifted, right?
Yeah.
But dude, there's a lady that she fucking she fucking fell back.
Oh,
But like
stop.
when you watch the videos,
Yeah.
it's like this douche,
Oh
and
my
she falls
God.
back like so delayed.
Yeah, yeah.
And then and no one else even moves that far. They're like, oh, and she just like does this outrageous fall, trying to get money, right?
Or trying to
Stone
be a
Cold even
wrestler,
goes over to
or
her and he's like,
maybe she's starting off her wrestling career.
nah, like she was pissed. You see her face, she was pissed.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah. But then
What a
Stone
dum
Cold,
dum.
like, he said something to her to apologize or
Okay.
whatever, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but for me, Stone Cold, I think people are faking. Obviously, trying to get money, or just we live in this soft time. Like, come on, bro, get up, walk it off. You know
Right.
what I
Right.
mean? But yeah, Stone
I
Cold's
know.
up there for me. Yeah, I mean, in my top 10, I would put. See, and I only seen videos of this. Like I never saw any of his matches live, but we are talking. I think we were talking about him the other day. But like Bruno Sammartino, just from like the
Right.
longevity of how long he was a champion, I think he was the best to ever do it in that aspect when it comes to like longevity.
Right.
Obviously, he was in a different era, but see, that's the thing is like that's brings me to that point that I was gonna make about the Attitude Era, just having so many characters. So then something like an elbow or a sock or like these things that are just like in real combat, they don't do anything. But like for us as kids, they were so explosive, we would lose our minds. And it was just like, oh my God, like what the heck? How is he gonna survive this? Like I literally think like, oh my god, how is he gonna survive the elbow, dude? Like he's gonna survive that? That's crazy, dude. And so
Yeah.
it's again, it's the characters that make it, and I think that's gone. I think we don't live in that time where it's like these kind of like this balance of like gimmick and reality kind of like blend together. You know what I mean? Like I think right before the
Right.
Attitude Era was like very very gimmicky, and then they kind of found that right balance in the Attitude Era, and then like now like the gimmicks aren't even gimmicks because they know that if they try a gimmick it just comes off weird, so then they kind of just avoid them really. And but
Yeah.
then that means you avoid these type of like superhero type of characters, when back in the day they would risk it all the time. They would risk it. They would just put something out there, and if it didn't sell good, then they were just like, all right, they trash it. Where it's like now I feel like they take less risk, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, no, for sure. It's a definitely a nicer or a more friendlier time. But
Yeah,
that's why like I liked when The Rock came back, and he whooped Cody's ass.
yeah,
Like blood doesn't signify it to be cool or great, but it does push that boundary of like, oh shit, like what's really real and damn, like how far is he willing to go? How far are they willing to let him go? You know,
right,
some of that is lost.
yeah,
Um, but like yeah, the storylines also I feel they got to a point where they were cheesy or just dumb,
yeah.
and I feel like now they've kind of put that because they're blurring the lines of reality that they can kind of pull from reality and storyline, and then boom, now you're just kind of like, dang, I knew that so and so really didn't like so and so in real life because he said something, and like, oh shit, now they're having a match, like what.
Well,
So
well, yeah.
there's cool stuff, that is being used.
More to that point and this is kind of like a side note, but still kind of applies to what we're talking about. Is that when I was a kid, I don't know if you used to do this, but actually my cousin Marco, he's the one that kind of got me into doing what I'm about to say. But we he taught me how to like find celebrity addresses or like pro athlete addresses, and then you just write them letters. And so we would like get them cards and put a card in there, and I have a bunch of like autographs from a bunch of MLS players, a bunch of hockey players, just because we used to just um put a card in there, and then like, and we knew that the famous ones usually don't report back. But that's what my cousin taught me.
Right.
He's like, dude, if you just write to like the mid players or like players that are on the bench, you will for sure
Yeah.
get an autograph, and you get a letter from them. So it's like you would just all you'd have to do is like write and be like, hey, I saw you last week. That goal you scored was amazing. You know what I mean? And they might have only scored one goal the entire season. You know what I mean? But for them, they're like, what? This kid saw me score a goal? I've only scored one goal like in 3
Right.
years, But it's like me and my cousin are sitting there like writing to this dude, like, dude, you're awesome. This is so cool, and so, but my point is that I had to sit down, write it, go to the post office, wait a couple weeks, maybe months, sometimes never, sometimes it would just never come back. And but now we have
Right.
X, right? And so you could literally just like tweet your famous person that you want to talk to, your wrestler, whatever you want to talk to. You don't have to write them a letter like fan mail. You can just literally just
Yeah.
text them essentially. You know what I mean? You can DM them. And then it's just it's crazy. It's just a way wilder time that now, like you said, it's kind of like before we only got what we saw on TV, from these wrestlers, where now they can kind of blend like, trash talking on X or whatever, and they can exchange tweets or whatever like that, you know. And so then we, the
Yeah.
public, me and you, we see that as kids, we're like, oh, whoa, this is beyond the ring, you know what I mean? Like, and so it adds to the work of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I still think the Attitude Era, nothing beats the Attitude Era. I think the Attitude Era is the greatest era of all time, and I don't even think it's close. I don't think any other era even comes close to the Attitude Era. I just don't. It just doesn't. Nothing comes close.
Yeah.
Not even near it. Not even near it. You know.
Dude, yeah, like the stuff that happened in that era, like looking back at it now, I'm like, man, it was like and they say it's like the Wild Wild West back then.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so Amy would watch like old school wrestling, you know, in like the early 90s.
Hmm.
And then like when the attitude hit in like 98, 99, you know, early
Right.
2000s, he
Right.
wasn't watching, right? But we were like, you know, going to school and shit.
Right.
And so when she saw the Vince McMahon documentary, she saw a lot of the stuff that was like around that time period, and she was just like, dude, you were watching this shit? I'm like, dude, it was fucking
It was.
crazy.
It was
Like,
why,
it was
dude.
just wild.
Dude, Stone Cold brought down a building on DX Generation. Brought down a building, like collapsed a building on them. Like with this was just wild, insane. Like
Yeah.
it was crazy. There was like no holds barred was most
Right.
every match. It was nuts, dude. And we were just kids, like
Yeah.
yeah, like you know what I mean. It
Yeah.
was pay per view for kids. It was like pay per view. I mean, well, now looking back on it, we're like, was this for kids? But it's like for us back
No, for
then, it
sure.
was for kids. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it
Right.
was great.
No, dude, like wrestlers would be topless. It was
Yeah,
like, what the, like,
yeah. It's
Amy's like,
wild.
dude, you were
Yeah,
watching this? And I was like, yeah, it was a good
yeah.
time.
It was, and
It was
it
a good
wasn't
time
a
to be
good time.
alive.
It was the best time. That's what's so
Yeah.
wild. The Attitude Era is like there's nothing like it because
Right.
again, we there won't be anything like it because the time period that it was a time
Yeah.
period of people like getting less offended, like they weren't as offended for things. So then
But not
that time
even
period
just
was like
that.
a moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But not even just that, like, yeah, yes, for sure that played a part in it. But then there was also just a lot of shit that you're like was just wrong. You know, like
Yeah.
there's stuff that you're like, oh, people are just got super offended for like nothing, right? But then there was
No.
other things where you're just like, this had nothing to do with wrestling, like at
No.
all.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Like
At all. At all. At all.
like
Yeah.
yeah, they were just, and again, like as a teenager at that time, you're just like, oh, this is the norm. This is cool, you know? And then
Yeah.
the wrestlers have adamantly said this. And I even told Amy, I was like, yeah, like looking back, I was like, yo, some of this stuff is crazy that this shit was on
Air.
TV,
It was on
crazy that
TV.
I was watching it,
Yeah.
you know?
It's wild that our parents paid for it. They like
So
they're
that was the
like,
thing. My
yeah.
parents didn't pay for it. Like I watched it at my friend's house all the
Oh,
time.
right.
But like had they known what I was watching, they would have been like, "Oh, you're coming home. Like you're not watching this shit."
Oh no. See,
You
my
know?
parents, they kind of like let us. They knew it was shit, but they would. My parents were more like they let us do stuff or let us listen to whatever, but they would just talk shit about it. And they were like, dude, if you want to
Right.
stop listening to the thing that you like or watching the thing that you like because we're talking shit, then that means you
Right.
probably didn't like it all that much. You know what I mean? And so then, but they would talk
Yeah.
shit. So they'd be like, and especially my dad, because my dad like likes real combat. Like he trained in martial arts for his whole life. And so then, when me and my brother would be watching wrestling, he's like, dude, what? Like these guys would get destroyed, and we'd be like, no, you don't know. The Undertaker comes from the depths of hell. What do you mean? This
Yeah.
guy just trains. This guy just trains in a gym, Dad. Like this guy comes from a coffin. He sleeps in a cemetery. What? Like he's a super being. This is crazy. Like you're insane,
Yeah.
Dad. The Undertaker can't lose to like a regular MMA fighter. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's,
Yeah.
it was funny, but
No,
these are like larger than life
dude,
characters, you know.
right. And they sold it so well, you
They
know, like it
did.
was just yeah.
Like I thought Kane
Um,
was Undertaker's real brother for a long time.
yeah,
I
for
thought
real.
that. I thought they were like
I
real
thought he was
blood brothers.
horribly disfigured.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought he was horribly disfigured too until they take off the mat. They do the mask thing, and I was like, oh wait, what? Yeah, I was like, wait,
Yeah.
what? What is he's? It's not burned. I thought, yeah. I was like, wait a minute.
Same
He's not.
same thing with Mankind, because Mankind
Yeah,
was supposed to be disfigured too.
yeah, he was, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. What a great time.
no,
No,
it's crazy.
I was gonna say that. So, who's your favorite tag team?
Okay, tag team is. Oh man, that's tough. But the Dudleys have to be up there in my top three at least. Yeah, the Dudleys have to be up there. The Dudleys are up there for sure. Hardy Boys, again, these are all Attitude Era, right? Hardy Boys are up there for me. Like, no one flies as high as the Hardy Boys. Like, those dudes were doing stuff that, like,
Off
it's just,
ladders,
yeah,
fucking
off
ladders,
yeah, off ladders, dude. The tables, ladders, and chairs matches between the Dudley Boys and the Hardy Boys, like, were insane with Christian
and
and
Edge and
Edge.
Christian.
Like, yeah,
Yeah,
Edge and Christian too. Like, what, dude? That was like that. Some of my favorite types of matches for sure was tables, ladders, and chairs. It's probably one of my favorite types of matches, you know.
right.
But I would say Dudley Boys is up there. Ah, man, I want to respect the Road Warriors, but they weren't my personal favorites, you know. But the Road Warriors
Mm,
would have to be up
right.
there. Um, like I said, Hardy Boys, The Rock and Mankind. Let's
The Rock and
go.
Sock.
Yeah, The Rock and the Sock. Yeah, and then Stone
Yeah.
Cold and The Rock when they were like when they finally teamed up, dude.
And
No, because for me, they were my
so,
favorite wrestlers. They're my favorite wrestlers of all time. So it's like
right.
it's when they teamed up, I was like, dude, what? Now I don't have to choose because they were like feuding for a long time, and so
Yeah.
that's why I was like, man, because every time they'd fight, I liked it, but it's like I had to choose some. I was like, no, I don't want to choose. I like both of them. What the heck? So then when they finally teamed up and I didn't have to choose anymore, and then they were going up against McMahon and everything else, and I was like, yeah, dude, I love this. I loved it. But do those count as like
No, I
tag
mean,
team?
yeah.
You know?
Who? They don't. They
Do
don't
they?
count as a tag
They
team then,
don't, right? They don't. Yeah, they don't count as tag team.
because they never won a title.
Right, as a tag team title. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
But for me,
So for
probably the Dudley
the Dudley
Boys.
Boys.
Probably, yeah, because just the
Yeah.
way
So
they fight.
they've actually have the most tags, the most
Whoa.
tag championships ever, I think. Like in
Oh
all
wow. See,
different promotions, like total.
dang, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
Um. Yeah. They've won them all, like TNA,
Yeah,
ECW,
ECW.
WWE,
Yeah.
like
So I knew him
everywhere.
from ECW. That's where I
Yeah,
saw
for
him.
sure.
So I saw him at
Yeah.
ECW, and because almost almost like right before the Attitude Era, ECW was really big. So like the hardcore wrestling fans, we were
Mhm.
already into ECW. Like Rob Van Dam, we knew about Rob Van
Oh yeah.
Dam like years before he came to WWF. Yeah, like get the dude, and he had a six spear too. He had a six spear too, and
Robin Dam didn't have a spear.
yeah, he did. He did.
No, he didn't. A
He did.
spear?
A spear, yeah. It
He
wasn't
had the
as it's
he
like
had the frog splash.
he had the frog splash, but he had a spear too. And he had the kick, the
Right.
HBK kick, and then the spinning kick. He'd also do like the heel
Yeah,
kick
the spinning kick with the chair would be sick. Yeah.
with the chair. Yeah. But yeah, he did it. He would do a spear. It wasn't like anywhere near anything like Goldberg or even Roman Reigns, but he did have a spear.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't
I'm
know. I
pretty
gotta
sure.
double check that. But
Yeah,
but what
yeah.
I was gonna say about ECW is
Mm.
it's funny because yeah, before the Attitude Era like really kicked off, you're like you were saying, ECW was already in there, right?
Yeah, they were
The
doing
crazy
crazy
part though
hardcore
is
stuff.
yeah, the crazy part is that I stumbled upon it on channel like 56 or something.
Yeah, it was on public access.
Right. And
Yeah,
so, I was just like one night I was like, man, I wonder what the highest channel I have is, it's all this
yeah,
fucking static.
yeah,
And then finally I hit that channel and I'm like,
yeah.
because I didn't have cable, so I was like, oh shit, I'm
Right.
watching
Right.
WWF, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't know any of these people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it just
Yeah.
was like fucking violence to the
Violence. Yeah.
max.
And because it's public access, there was like no limit. There was no like they
Right,
didn't have any like oh, we can't do this because of the network. There was no network.
right,
It was like public access. So it's like me and my brother just watching ECW. And then the cool thing about ECW is that so for WWF, if you were a huge fan of the hardcore matches,
yeah.
ECW was all hardcore
Oh,
matches. There
oh, crap.
there was
Yeah,
no not hardcore match. Every match was a hardcore match. It was like
pretty much,
what
yeah,
the it was crazy. And most matches had weapons or like some sort of crazy violent stipulation where you're like now
right,
they can fight and they are going to fight but on a bed of nails. And then you're like, "Wait, what? Like how are they stepping? I don't understand. Like what is like
yeah.
this is crazy, you know? These
So,
two worlds
so,
collide, but in a freaking shopping cart full of
yeah.
nails. Always just like full of nails. It's like, oh, what the, you know what I mean?
So, so from there, obviously the Dudley Boys was my favorites. But then I also liked the Sandman was sick.
Oh, he's sick. Yeah,
Um, Stone Cold was actually there
yeah, he was there.
before Stone Cold.
He was. Yeah,
CM Punk was there, obviously. Um, what is it? Just Incredible,
right.
fucking Tommy Dreamer.
Oh, Tommy Dreamer, dude. Tommy
Yeah,
Dreamer
dude.
is a gangster. You gotta put respect on that dude's name in the ECW world. Like that dude was
Yeah,
violent. Like that was crazy. See, he do crazy stuff. See, ECW is so sick, man. It's so
yeah.
cool, man. But that's
So
what it is. It's like mm,
there's this podcast that I listen to. It's called the Busted Open podcast, and
okay.
it's Dave LaGreca, and it's like
Oh.
what is it? Bubba Ray Dudley's on there,
Whoa,
Mark
cool.
Henry, Tommy
Hey.
Dreamer,
What?
and they're on Sirius, I think, Sirius
Oh,
FM.
that's cool.
But yeah, like they're pretty vocal in the wrestling community, and they are fucking. They know their shit. I don't always agree with everything, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But like the term of the Cody Crybabies, that's who they were referring to in La Greca. But no, like these fools are on it, and it's cool to see a perspective from Mark Henry, which was an actual world's strongest man,
Yeah,
you
he
know.
was. But see, that was
Bubba
epic
Ray.
back then. That was
Hmm.
that blurred the line between reality because we thought like
Right.
at least I did. I was like, wait, is this official? Like he's the world's strongest man? And so then I like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, dang, they signed
No, I
the
remember.
world's strongest man to fight. Like that's crazy. I thought wrestling was like Street Fighter. I thought it was insane, you know?
Dude, they had fucking Ken Shamrock
Yeah.
as a yeah,
What? They had Ken Shamrock, freaking world champion in basically street fight in MMA. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And this dude's like fighting. They had what's that dude's name? Shane Black. They're like
Oh yeah,
actual, like the martial arts dudes. But
yeah.
like when they have people like that, like Kurt
No,
Angle, like
his name
you
was
know
Steve Blackman.
Steve Blackman, Steve Blackman. Yeah, 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 not Shane Black. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, dude. Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Steve Blackman, let's go.
Yeah,
That dude's sick.
and they also had damn, who they have. So one person we didn't mention, which I wasn't a fan of him, but I liked him as the bad guy a lot. And this dude, the reason why I didn't like him is because when The Rock turned heel and he went Hollywood, the last match that he had was against Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar destroyed The Rock, and then just proceeded to just destroy everybody.
Everyone.
And
Yeah.
and he was one of the ones that had, dude, the F5
Yeah.
was a wild move. Like to be able to
Yeah.
toss a grown ass man like and
Like
just
that.
throw him like
Yeah.
a fucking paper.
Like a doll. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, Lesnar's an
was cool.
animal. Lesnar's
Yeah,
an animal. Like a straight
right.
specimen. But that he's from the he's what do they call that era? He's from the ruthless aggression era.
Yeah, which is still, but it's still the Attitude Era. He was in that, yeah, in that box.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the ruthless, yeah. Um, and then his feuds with John Cena, and dude, he suplexed John Cena 16 times in a match,
Yeah.
and
That was wild.
and yeah, because people are like, yeah, wrestling's fake and blah blah. I'm like,
Yeah,
dude,
but to do that, to do that, like the physicality to toss like a dude like that is so
Two
insane.
fifty.
It's yeah,
John Cena's like 250, and you're tossing,
yeah,
or probably even bigger, but you're tossing him over you, fucking
over you, yeah,
16 times
yeah, 16
in the
times.
span
It's
of like
wild,
20 minutes.
dude. People can't shadow box for like 30 seconds. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, people listening right now, like, seriously, you think you can do like what boxers do or wrestlers do? Get up
Yeah.
right now in your living room, put on a timer for like 30 seconds or to a minute, 60 seconds, and just shadow box the air. So no one fighting back, no resistance, and just don't stop though, and do it for
Yeah.
30 seconds or a minute and see how tired you get. These dudes are tossing hundreds of pounds over and over again, and you're like, oh, wrestling's fake. Like, I mean, yeah, the outcome is fake, but like, dude, these dudes are physically moving in a way that we cannot move. Like, we cannot move that way,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And so
No,
it's insane. Lesnar was a beast. Lesnar's up there for me. I really like
yeah,
Lesnar.
I mean, again, yeah, the way the wrestling works like every part of your body,
Yeah,
you know,
it has to.
and yeah, so it was just wild. And in the setup to that match, fucking, I think Brock Lesnar had just won the championship and then lost it, right?
Uh-huh.
In UFC, he was the champion in UFC.
That's right.
He lost the belt and then came back to WWE,
That's
and
right.
then he was going against Cena, and their first like confrontation, they rushed at each other. Fucking Brock Lesnar, pulls his legs out, right,
Yeah.
takedown, and he fucking throws one punch, dude, just boom,
Yeah.
busts fucking John Cena's mouth all up, and
Yeah.
yeah. Like legit, like he was like bleeding. He's looking at him like, man, dude, like I want to fucking kill you because you.
Yeah.
He's like, you really fucking hit me on this one, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I owe you a receipt,
No,
but
and the thing is, yeah, that's wild, dude. That's crazy. He actually freaking punched him, dude. Yeah, dude, Lesnar was an animal, man. That fool was a specimen, dude. Like, and like you
yeah,
said, he could toss people like nothing, like just paper. You know, it was
right.
wild, dude. That fool was crazy. But you know, we
Like
we,
the
we
way
uh huh.
the way I toss my kids is how he tosses grown men. Like it's
Yeah,
crazy, you know.
grown ass dudes like that are 100, and not like you and me, right? Like grown dudes that are
No,
like 220 pounds. You know what I mean? Like minimum,
oh, I mean,
minimum like
I'm
220.
220, so
Yeah,
I walk around 219.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
fucking
I'm two
that
nineteen point
219.
five.
I slimmed down a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, me
Yeah, I
too.
slimmed down a little bit.
Half a
You
pound.
know, I was getting too massive.
No, too massive. Yeah, too big for your own good, bro. I have to like go in through doors sideways.
Yeah.
So we talked a lot about our favorite wrestlers, our favorite era, and this and that. What are some of your worst wrestlers of all time, or do you have a worst?
Um, I have Ultimate Warrior.
Okay, here you go,
Um,
Goldberg. Yeah, good.
no,
Goldberg would do the
he's
same
not the
thing.
worst.
Goldberg was the modern Ultimate Warrior. What are you talking
He
about?
was 2.0. 2.0.
No, he was downgraded. Ultimate Warrior was
No,
the best. Yeah, dude.
no.
Get it. Goldberg was he was like before Lesnar was on the scene. Goldberg didn't know it, but he was just like imitating a Lesnar that hadn't appeared yet. Goldberg is what Lesnar was. Goldberg is what he wanted to be a Lesnar before Lesnar even showed up. You know what I mean? Like the
It
real
goes
fighter specimen type dude, you know?
right. It goes Ultimate
Okay.
Warrior. Then Goldberg was the 2.0,
No.
and then Lesnar was like the 3.0.
Lesnar is just juice to the gills.
Yeah.
That fool was drinking steroids as for water, you know what I mean? That was like
You know who's an honorable mention? I just like their gimmick. Not their gimmick, but like just their persona was DDP. It's
Diamond
me.
Dallas Page?
It's me. It's DDP. Yeah.
Dude. Yeah, and of course, I think he's one of the greats of all time. Diamond, the diamond cutter and all that.
Right.
I do think they could have. It sucks because I think in terms of like raw talent, DDP is like an all-time great, all-time great. Um, I just feel like they could have done more with him, you know,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
right? Like they
Yeah.
kind of like it was like, man, we all loved DDP when he came out, but it's like they could have made him more of a main character for storylines. They could have made him champion a
Right.
few more times. I would have been behind that.
Hmm.
But DDP's
Yeah.
awesome. I love DDP. He's sick.
But let me see. Worst wrestler? Hmm. You know, one I didn't care for, and I get it was like for fun, and it was, but I was gonna say this when you asked me like who's my favorite. I was gonna say the Blue Meanie.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's go, dude. Blue Meanie was funny. It was funny.
that guy.
You
I
you
mean, again, I don't think he was my the worst, but dude, man, there was so many characters in the Attitude Era. Dude, remember Al Snow?
Yeah, Al Snow with the head and the
Yeah. What does everybody want? Head. What does everybody need? Head.
and we're
Man,
chanting that as kids.
just
Like yeah, shaking the head. Al
yeah. I
Snow
don't
had
know
some.
the worst wrestler.
Well, see, that's the thing is that's why I think the worst is harder um to pinpoint than the best
Right.
because the worst it's like how do we do the worst? Do we do worst by most hated? Do we do worst by like and then follow me on here because I don't know if I'm going to articulate this correctly, but if you do the worst, right? You do the worst, but there's so many characters where like the fake Diesel or like the fake Razor Ramon or like the fake Goldberg, which is like Gilbert. And so do
Yeah.
we do those or do we because though
No.
there were so many bad wrestlers that we don't even hear of that are probably like the worst of all time, right? So
Right.
it's like if you have a worst where you're like, oh, he's my worst, well, at least you knew him and at least like he showed up enough times where you're like, oh, okay, this guy's, a bad guy or someone, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he had enough
You know.
presence for you to hate him, is what I'm saying. So it's like, how do
Right.
you judge? How do you judge it? Because, like, for me, Viscera's up
I
there.
could say this. I could say there's a character, there's a couple of them, but the one that stands out right now that I was just like, whenever he had a match or he was involved in anything, and again, no disrespect to him because he could wrestle and he did, his job. But I just didn't care for his characters because he did two different characters at one point. It would have to be Prince Albert.
Oh, well, Prince Albert was whack, dude. Prince Albert was whack. And then who's that one dude, that white dude with the long hair that rolled with him sometimes? That was like his
Ted.
yeah, his dealer or something. And it was like, dude, what? That was so whack.
Yeah.
So whack. That
Yeah.
whole thing was whack.
Didn't care.
But you're right, you're right. Prince Albert could wrestle though. He was like pretty good in the ring. Like his in-ring
Yeah.
work was not bad. But he's just like
Yeah.
but see, that's why I wouldn't put him up there, because it was so that's why I would put Viscera over Prince Albert for sure in worst. Viscera was worse because he not only
No, I think
sucked at wrestling, but he just sucked. You know,
I think the other guy he ran with, not Viscera. Who's the other guy?
not Mordecai, right?
Was that his name? It was Viscera, and there was somebody else that he was the other lackey.
Yeah, who was it? It was Viscera. Because who was in the ministry? It was Viscera, Christian, Edge. Um, because they were like the
Gangrel was another one, but
Gangrel. That's right,
yeah,
Gangrel. Gangrel was so funny.
there was there was wrestling vampires.
Yeah, dude. There's wrestling vampires. And I thought that the ministry was like a legit cult. Like I thought they hung out together. I thought they hung out together and like did satanic rituals. Like I thought that was like a thing. I was like, man, these fools kick it together. This is so weird.
Yeah,
Like, they're friends. That's weird. You know?
it's funny because like if you and again, it was all for all for show, and I mean, not there was some realism to certain aspects, right?
Yeah.
But if you just go overall storyline, like man, dude, some of the gimmicks, bro, like fucking vampires that wrestle
Mean
is
Street
wild,
Posse. Mean Street Posse was bad.
right?
They were
That was another
horrendous.
one.
That was so
Yeah.
bad. And Mordecai was the anti Undertaker. So remember, he was the dude that was like, he was in all white. He's like, I had that white contacts, like blonde hair, had a staff, and
Okay.
he come out like trying to be like the Undertaker, but like white, like heavenly or
Yeah.
whatever. Was weird. He sucked. He
Is
sucked ass. And
like
so
Val Venus.
hey, no, but what was worse about Val Venus? What was worse is that you thought it couldn't get worse. Like I liked to hate Val Venus. I liked
Yeah.
when Val Venus was Val Venus. But then when he became like, remember they tried to make him like where he became like an administrator or something. He like started having like he started rolling with the corporation. He started rolling with like corporate as like a regular dude in a suit.
Like
He wasn't Val
was that
Venus
Right to
anymore.
Censor?
Yeah, was that him? Was that them?
It was Stevie Richards, I think, was in Right to
That's
Censor, and
right. That's
then
right. Right to censor. Yeah, that's
yeah,
crazy. That's crazy, dude.
and
And so it was Mean Street Posse was bad. There's
remember
so
Doink the
many
Clown?
bad ones. Huh?
Remember Doink the Clown?
So Doink, I liked when Doink first came out, but then for some reason, again, same thing. Like they just like I don't know why
Yeah,
they Doink the Clown was such a good character, but I feel like they wrote him so wrong that he ended up
right.
becoming one of the worst wrestlers of all time. But I think he had potential. I think Doink
Yeah.
was like a potential guy. I like seeing him wrestle and like my guys come and beat him up, you know. But I don't know. I thought that was I thought that was a wasted potential with Doink. I don't know.
One one that I thought was like I didn't care for the gimmick, but they played it so good that you kind of just had to be like, it works. Was fucking Gold Dust.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, I mean that's legendary. You got to put respect on Goldust's
Yeah,
name for sure.
right.
But Goldust, remember when he tried to rebrand and he was like Black Dust or something? Remember, and he'd come out with a
Well,
rat.
what? A rat? I don't
Yeah,
remember that. I remember him and Cody Rhodes, his brother when he was Stardust and Gold Dust.
that's right. Stardust and Goldust. Yeah, just dust all
Uh,
over the freaking.
they're just like he had like this like glove that he'd have. Oh man,
Yeah, yeah. No, but I like Goldust too. I like seeing Goldust. I didn't like
Gold Dust
Viscera.
was
I
funny.
thought Viscera was the worst.
Viscera is pretty up there.
Dude, you know who's really bad too? Who we didn't
Who?
mention? These are in my all-time worst. So like the Great Khali.
I like the Great Khali because he was so big, right? But yeah, he couldn't really move that well. Like
He
he had
couldn't
the
move
one
at
chop.
all. He couldn't move at all, dude. And not only could he not move at all, but it's like then he was only the Great Khali for a short time and then he like thinned out. I don't know what the hell happened, but
Right.
he started
Try.
thinning out where it was like, wait, what? Like now this doesn't even make any sense at all.
What's crazy is he was crazier in the Longest Yard.
Yeah, yeah, right. Right.
Yeah, I remember when he showed up, I was like, "Oh shit, that's the dude from the
Yeah,
Longest Yard." And
yeah,
then
right.
I found out he couldn't really move that well. Then I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that kind of sucks,"
That does
for
suck.
him.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks. And then the other guy who was really bad, and this is probably like my worst wrestler of all time is Anthony the Giant Gonzalez.
I don't
The
remember him.
fool. Yeah, he's the fool that he used to fight Undertaker. This is before the Attitude Era. But
Yeah.
he used to wear the like Attack on Titan type outfit.
Oh,
You know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. That
yeah.
dude
He
sucked
had like facial hair, like a
ass.
beard, but not really a
Yeah,
beard.
like a beard right here,
Yeah.
like the like the Dagestani beard, and then he had like
Yeah.
a suit with like fake muscles, so it's just like muscles drawn in, and then like hair patches, and it's like,
Yeah.
wait, you could just be shirtless. Like, what are you doing? What is this? And so it was really weird. And you come out
Yeah.
like, you know, and so not only was his character absolute shite, but it was bad because they kept pushing him because he was so big, and
Right.
Undertaker needed an opponent. Like they were kind of like fresh out of like fresh opponents for the Undertaker that people would believe as a legit threat to the Undertaker. So then they
Right.
introduced this giant Gonzalez, where at first I was like, oh, sick, and then first off, his whole gimmick falls flat. And then, but again, I'm willing, as a wrestling fan, I'm willing to give grace if you're like, if you're bad on the mic, if you're bad at entertaining me, I'm willing to give you grace if your in ring work is really good, right? And no, the Giant Gonzalez's in ring work was absolute garbage. It was shit. It was absolute shit. It was so bad. It was horrendous. I remember watching them and being like, what is this?" And
Yeah.
I've heard other wrestlers talk about them, especially Undertaker, because he was introduced as a heel for Undertaker, right? Like an antithesis to
Right.
Undertaker. So when they interviewed Undertaker about it, he said like, "Dude, my matches with him took years off my life. Like they took years off my wrestling career just from how bad he was." So it's like
Yeah.
that's how bad this fool is. Like that's insane. That's horrible. That's horrible. And that's the other thing about people that people don't think about wrestlers, especially when you're into like combat, when you're into actual martial arts and whatever. It's that you think like, oh man, the martial arts that comes into it and you have to think about it. And wrestling, you don't have to think, you just do these stunts that are choreographed. And it's like, yes and no. It's like, yes, they are choreographed, but at the same time, like if I'm fighting you, I'm just fighting you. And there might be moments where I'm just throwing like reckless abandon, right? Like I'm sitting in the pocket and we're just trying to trade and then see what's gonna happen. If me and you are putting on a show for the community and now we're
Right.
wrestling, we have to do these high flying dangerous moves, and it has to be fake. It has to be fake. So as we're doing it, there's not one moment where I'm not thinking in my mind, I can't hurt him. I can't hurt him. But I also have to make this look real. So, and I have to make it look like I'm not thinking about it. But the entire time I'm thinking about not hurting you. And you're doing the same thing. You're like, dude, I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to hurt him. But we're like thinking, and we
Right.
have to simulate this fight. If we were actually fighting, I don't have to think about not hurting you. I can just do whatever
Yeah.
I want. Obviously I have to think about technique, but I don't have to like think about being safe in a fight, in like a make-believe fight, which is not
Right.
as hard as actual combat, but it's hard. It's that's hard to do. What the heck? Sometimes sparring is hard to
Right.
do. Sometimes sparring and like not hurting someone in sparring is difficult to do, right? Sometimes, right? Sometimes you can kind of get carried away and whatever. It shouldn't
Right.
be hard to not hurt someone in sparring, don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is like, how do you have actual combat and then like not have combat? It's weird. It's like it's something to think about, right? So I don't know, but those are
No, for
my
sure.
uh
No, I was gonna say for sure, yeah, because if you think about it, like you can tell when there's like a good wrestler in with a bad wrestler because it's
yeah,
like, man, like you have to have a good dance partner,
right,
you know?
right. You have to,
Yeah.
and
Otherwise it
that's the
looks
thing
shit.
is, yeah, or else it looks shit. Exactly, because the whole thing has to be a work. It has to be entertaining. Like you're not going in there to see the best martial artists in the world or the best, Greco-Roman wrestlers of all time. Like that's not why we're
Right.
going. We're going to see storylines and violence and like fake violence. You know what I mean? Where it's like safe, but it's still
Right.
violent. It's still dangerous, and so
Yeah.
that's what makes it fun, right? You know
Right.
that
No. I
one.
mean, I
That's what
think I
makes
think
it.
it's in a good place right now.
Right now it
We'll
is.
just
Yeah.
see where it goes.
Right now it is.
But
Yeah.
yeah, my kids love it, so
That's cool, man. I'm so glad that they like it. It's that's a cool thing, especially with boys, and they're into it. Because again, what's really cool about their era is that this is their era. And again, yeah, it's not the attitude era, but it's as good as it's been since then. And so either it gets
right.
better or it doesn't. But when they're older and they're having this podcast and they're talking about like their era and the present era, and they're like, dude, remember this, remember that, it's just not as good as it used to be. And they're gonna talk about like the Cody
Right.
Rhodes and the John Cena heel turn, and all that. You know what I mean? It's all
No, I know.
entertainment though, and that's what puts us in the seats. That's what puts us in the seats, dude. You know?
Right. What it's cool because like they're seeing some of my favorites
Right.
in their era, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like Stone Cold came out for WrestleMania
Yeah.
and I was like, dude, I think Stone Cold's gonna come out. And they're like, who's Stone Cold? I'm like, man, like just wait and see, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Another one dude that's still doing it is Randy Orton. That fool's still going
Oh,
strong.
dude. That dude, you got to put respect on the Orton family for wrestling. Like that's just, I
Right.
mean, he's sick with it too. He's not in my top favorites, but
Yeah.
again, in terms of like in ring work, and he's one of the greatest of all time. So
Right, for sure, yeah.
you know,
But yeah. I
he's
mean,
so good.
I'm one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah,
I
are you,
wanted to be a wrestler at one point, but I don't know.
dude?
I just didn't go.
You didn't do it, dude, and it would have been so much easier back then, right? Because I feel like less people wanted to be wrestlers. You know, I mean,
Right.
look at what we used to do. Did you ever do backyard wrestling with your homies or
Yeah,
no?
for sure, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
So
we also
and we
used to
all
do it
broke
like
bones, and you know,
yeah. Well, I didn't break anything from any of that shit. I broke it from punching shit, but
no, yeah,
I broke it in a different way.
yeah,
Um,
more
but
idiotic,
no, like yeah, it was just
crazy,
right, more irresponsible, yeah.
which is insane, right? More irresponsible than backyard wrestling. Patrick over here.
Yeah.
You know what I
No,
mean?
no, but yeah, like we used to, man, it was a different time, you know.
Yeah,
Back in my day,
yeah,
you
I
know.
know.
But no,
Seriously.
yeah, we would get together and we'd plan who was wrestling who and the people watching didn't know who was gonna win except for the two that were in the ring, you know.
Right, right, of
Um,
course, of course.
yeah, and yeah, dude, I remember one of my friends was like, dude, I don't think this fool knows what he's doing. Like he almost broke my neck like 3 times. Man,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, it's crazy. We would forget, like we learned the hard way to not um that we had to like weaken the furniture before we used it, and
I
so
remember you
like
saying that on the other podcast. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's like you jump on it and you're like jumping off like a garage or something, and then you jump on a
Right.
table, and then you're like, oh, it doesn't break like how in in the shit that we watch. You know what I mean? You're like,
Yeah.
god dang it, when you're already in
But
pain, it's too late.
yeah, they you know, and I don't know how much of this is really real, right? But they were saying like in the Attitude Era, and you know, obviously, but mostly in the Attitude Era, they're like, there's a lot of things that we didn't do. Like they didn't weaken shit as much. Like they took out like maybe that metal bar, right? But
Yeah,
they didn't pre like cut it. You know, like they said, like, dude, the bumps that they took was like
the
not like the
bumps.
bumps today. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
Like they ended up out or banning freaking the pile driver because of how
yeah.
dangerous that was.
They banned it.
They don't do headshots no more, like fucking chair shots to the head.
They
You
don't.
know?
Yeah, that's totally gone.
No,
Totally gone.
yeah.
That's
Undertaker
wild.
said like it was like a rite of passage. Like you knew you were taking that chair shot to the dome, and that was it.
Yeah,
You know, like you just had to fucking take it.
dude, that's
Yeah,
wild, man. That's wild. And because that hurts,
yeah,
man. I've
yes,
been
dude.
concussed with one of those chairs.
One
Yeah.
of the craziest matches I seen in the Attitude Era was when The Rock handcuffed Mankind and just fucking obliterated him like over and over with the chair in front of his family. Like,
In front of his family. That was wild, dude. That was
yeah,
crazy.
like
Yeah. That
sad
feud,
almost.
that was
It's like
sad.
fuck.
Yeah, that I was gonna say that feud was sad. Because again, it was like a lot of my favorite wrestlers were from the Attitude Era. Was like The Rock, Stone Cold, McFoley,
Yeah,
right there,
yeah,
those three alone. So then when I would see them like brutally destroying each other, I'd be like, oh man, like this is sad. This is like not even. Oh man, this is crazy. This
yeah,
is epic, but this is insane. I can't watch this, my guy. You know what I mean? It's nuts,
yeah,
dude. It's nuts. But yeah, that's a crazy time. Like you said, there was like, you know, there was like topless stuff. There's even vampires and shit like that. That's insane to me. Like cults and weird stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
weird shit, dude.
dude.
It's
Undertaker put Stone Cold on a cross.
yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that he crucified him? This is
Yeah,
so insane. It's wild, dude. Like the stuff they would do, and then like the
yeah,
storylines too for like the soap opera type stuff would be
right,
crazy, like with people's wives and stuff, like nuts, where you're just like,
yeah,
what the heck? Like, how are they doing this? Like, is this legal? Like, why aren't they getting arrested? I always think that, like, how are these people not
right,
just getting shot? Like, like, isn't that fool like screw wrestling at this point? How does this dude just not
right.
stab this dude in the face? Like, I don't understand. Like, what the heck? You know what I mean?
It's like, dude, you betrayed my family. You ruined my life.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a match with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we'd be like, dude, a match? Whoa.
Yeah,
Like,
a Hell in a
hey,
Cell.
hey, and talk about healthy resolution, right? So we learned that
Right.
you could have the most hatred towards someone, and instead of like, you know, like getting them, doing something like fatal, you challenge them to a
Yeah.
match. That's the proper way. It's you challenge, win or lose. You challenge the guy to a match. You have an issue, meet me at the flagpole after school, buddy, and like and they'd like to say that
Yeah.
wrestling had a bad example, but I don't know. I think it was a good example, right?
Dude, 3 count saves lives.
3 count saves lives. You see what I'm saying? 3 count saves lives, dude. Hey, you turn to your homie that's right there. You gonna ref this? Yeah, yeah, sure,
Yeah.
I'll ref it. Okay, great. All right, cool. All right, we're good. You know what I mean? Like,
Dude, I'm gonna have to put that on a shirt. A
what?
3 count saves lives.
Hey, that's a sick one,
Yeah.
dude. That'd be
Right?
sick. That's part of our merch right there. Don't steal that, nobody.
Dude.
You know
The
what I
show
mean?
no one asked for. A 3 count saves lives.
3 count saves
Let's
lives.
do it.
That's sick. That's sick, dude. Yeah. So we
But
talked.
yeah.
We talked a lot about wrestling. We talked, uh, you know, an hour, more than an hour about wrestling, which is awesome. I love wrestling. I love wrestling. But to close out the episode, just before we close out, I just wanted to ask you: have you seen Sinners? Because Sinners just came out.
You're
Sinners
gonna
just came out, and
see.
I just wanted to ask you
No.
before we close out, because I know we're like reaching towards the end of it, and I just wanted to
Right.
ask you: have you seen
I
Sinners, dude?
haven't.
You have not
Not
seen
yet.
Sinners.
Not yet.
Yeah, yeah, you
Not yet.
better not
I'm
yet,
waiting. I'm waiting for my brother-in-law to stop being sick
dude.
and to go watch it. So yeah.
Bite
I know. I
him,
know.
make
Don't.
make him a vampire, and then go watch it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Just
You know what I mean?
just know. Just know when I see it,
Yeah,
we're gonna talk about it
dude.
for
Okay,
sure.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. Cause yeah, I wanted to tell you, like, I wanted to be like, wait, did he see this movie? Cause as of right now, and I know we have a lot of year left, but it's definitively the best movie of the year so far, hands down, not even close. And you love
Yeah.
music, dude. I Man, the music in that movie is insane. But basically, it's Dusk Till Dawn, but in the South, and more, high production value, with like a little bit more developed storyline. But it's
Okay.
basically Dusk Till Dawn, but like in the South, in the early
Right.
1900s, like 1930s or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and with like music as a character in the movie. No, it's literally,
Okay.
and I'm
Okay.
not saying that to be like metaphorical. Music is an actual character in the movie, dude. It deserves
Yeah.
a credit. The music
Okay.
credit, dude. Dude, we gotta talk about it. We gotta talk about it. We got to.
Okay.
We got to.
We will. We
But
will
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. All right. So that does it for our episode. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. I'm Daniel Rumbles,
And I'm S.A.G.A. MC.
and this is a show no one asked for.